What's up, guys? Welcome back to the next video in learning MySQL. My name is QDS and you guys watching my channel Korayawood. Alright, so in this video we're gonna show you how we're gonna create our database, which we already know, and how we're gonna create our tables. And in the future videos we're gonna see how we're gonna insert our database and update our database, update our tables in MySQL, our command line. So far we already know that how we're going to create our database through the command prompt, our command line, and how we're going to create this, put it here. So by now we already are very confident that we can use the query here. We can use our tables, our databases through the GUI. We can do that, and after when we know how to create the database, which we already know, and how we're going to create our table. For example, if you guys want to create the database, we already know that we put a create database if not exist. Say for example we're going to put a social web. That's going to be our database if you guys want to create, and we're going to create, for example, inside the users, our passwords, our users addresses, our names, whatever, our users order, whatever you guys want to create it here in the social web, whatever you guys want to put a XYZ. So anything that you guys like, in trust, you guys can put a name. So we put a create a database if not exist social web, and we press the control and enter, and our database is already created. You're going to come here and we're going to see social webs already created. Okay, so we can do exactly the same ones here in the command prompt. So but because there is no difference, so we're going to use these ones. All right, so because you guys are going to get familiar with MySQL Workbench, so because this is a workbench and we're going to mainly use in all our videos this workbench. So now we're going to use this database social web. So you just put issue command use, and we put a social web, and control and enter, and we're going to use the social web. Keep in mind, looking here, it says tables, it says view, stored procedure, and it says functions. So we're going to create some table. To create a table, you guys need the commands create a table. So we're going to put a create table, and what we're going to create tables, for example, social users, whatever our members, whatever is you guys like, and we're gonna put a semicolon here, and you can expand this and put in the new line. You can do that, and the first one is gonna be create an ID, for example user ID. We can put a user ID, and what's the user's ID is gonna be, we're gonna put an int, our small int. You can put a small int as well. You can put a small int, or you can put it. In our case, we just put an int. We put a not null, our NN. We put a not null, and we put an auto, and we put an increment. We put a increment. So that's our ID, and then it's going to be the first name and last name. So because users have a first, and we put a name, and the first name and last name is going to be varchar 100, and we put a var, we put a car, and we put a, say for example 100, because some users have a 100, and we put a default null, and the last name is going to be, because some of our usernames, they don't want to put their first name, we're going to put this one. Say the first one is going to be default null. If you want a null, you just put a not null. If you want to put a, say, default null, it means that's going to be default null. So this guy is going to be varchar, and the varchar is going to be 100, and this one's, if you want to put a null, you just don't put anything there. All right, so we have keep in mind, just observe here, the first names we put a varchar 100, and we put a default null, and this one's we didn't put anything. It means that's not going to be null. So, and then the next one's going to be active. As I said to you guys before, and for the active we put a bit, and we put a 1. It means that's the default is 1. And we put a null, and we put a default, and we put a 1. That's the one's going to be our default. As I said in the previous videos, that when you guys wanna, for example, if the users in social webs, they are active or not, in when they updated their database, when they created their database. So we're gonna put another one. We need a created at, and we put a updated at created. When the user created this database, we put a timestamp. We put a timestamp. So when the user created the database, and then by default it's going to be the timestamps. We want the MySQL to put a timestamps, whatever the current time is, and we put updated at. We put a updated at. So we put a created at, and we put updated at, and this guy is going to be timestamp. And we put a null, we put a default. What's the default is going to be? Current timestamp. Current timestamp. We can do this ones as well. Null default current timestamp. We can copy this one, and we can move it here as well. So we can put it here, current timestamps. So because it's updated at, we can use another one. It's a little bit it's getting longer, and we put it on update. So we put it on update, because what happens when the user gonna come in and update this one. So we're gonna put it on default, because the first one's created at, we don't need it on update, because created at we are not going to expect the user to put anything. So we put a timestamp, that's the type, data type, and we put a null. We don't even if the users don't put anything, that's pretty much fine. If you put a not null, then you're gonna get error. So if you put a not null, then if the MySQL can't get the timestamp for some reason, then it's going to give you error. But we put a null, it means that's pretty much fine. If you get a timestamp, that's fine. Otherwise, don't worry. Then just go ahead, because the MySQL is pretty much fine. We're issuing a null. But if you put n or not null, then you're going to get in trouble. Because updated at, we just like created at, users going to come and update. Then we need another one on. Say for example update. What's going to happen when update? Then we're going to put a current timestamps. We put it on update. Then we put a current timestamp. Current timestamp. This is a little bit long, because you guys need to understand here, when you create, you don't need to update, but when you update, it means that this timestamp is null. Default is a timestamp on update, because this is updating. The users, say for example, if it's created say on the 1st of March, then the user is going to come and change something on 6th of March, then we need this part, because it's going to be on update. And the last ones is gonna, you guys need the primary key. So we put a primary, and we put a key. And what's the primary key? You can put it here. What's the primary key? The primary key is user ID. So we put a user ID. That's going to be the primary key. So primary key, or PK, is user ID. So that's just a very basic normal ones, because you guys needs to understand this one. Created at, because you guys need, for every database you create, you need to create it at the timestamp. Whatever the timestamp is going to be null, and it's going to be default current timestamp, whatever the timestamp was at that date or time. So because the current timestamps tell you guys the exact date, the year, month, and date, the hour, minutes, and seconds. That's what the current timestamps tells you guys, and that's what you're going to see in the future videos. It says updated at, it says timestamp again, not null, because it's going to be null, and it's going to be default, and the default current timestamp. And here we are putting a little bit extra on update current timestamp. When is the user can updates that, then you need a current timestamp. Okay, so and the primary key is a user ID, and if you guys press the control and enter, we have used our table, and you're gonna look at here. We have put a tables, and that's what we users we have. So we have created our table, and we're gonna see that's gonna be our table. The user ID is going to be int auto increment prime PK. First name is worker 100. Say last name is worker 100. Active is if the users say for example not in our website again, then we put a 0, created at a timestamp, updated at timestamps. So that's a very basic. You guys can create your data, your table. So that's now our tables. Effectively, we have created our table. So if you're gonna come here and get our command prompt, we can do exactly the same ones here as I said. MySQL -u, and that's gonna be the root. -p password. We don't have a password, and we can create a database as I said. If you put a show, we put a show databases. That's how the many databases are. So it's up to us which one we're going to use. The social web, which is this guy here. We put a use social web, and database change because now we are using this social web. So how we're going to see the tables if we inside the database, and we're going to put a show tables. So we put a show, we put a tables, and as you can see here, we have only one table here. We don't have many tables here. But if you have more than one, you can see the more than one table here. Alright, so now we're going to see here. This one's the first ones because it's going to be auto increment. That's the first one's our data, and that's going to be inside our table. And the first name is going to be default null, but the last name is not going to be null. We're going to see the active default null. How we're going to insert the database, because we are heading towards insert in the future in the next videos or something, because in the next video I'm going to show you how we're going to create our exactly the same ones, our database and our table through the GUI, not through the command or through the syntax. So I'm going to show you just quickly how we're going to insert. You guys need to put insert into whatever the table name is. Put insert into table. What's the table name is users, and what you guys want to insert, which column you guys want, which row is which column, and the first one is going to be say user ID. We can insert user ID because it's auto increment. Then this one's going to be first name. So if you guys want to put a first name, you guys can do so. You guys put a first, and you can put a name, and then we put a value. We put a values, what the values you want to put, and we can put your own name. And I'm going to put my own name. It's going to be Yazdani. You can put your own name, and insert into users, insert into table. Then you're going to see the field, whatever the first one, the first name, and then you can put the last name, and then you can put active if it's active or not, it's created at or updated at. So we're going to see if because we are just putting one field here, we're going to see if we're going to get error or not. So, and it's okay. So if you look in here, we have columns, and inside our columns we're getting the first name. And if you're gonna look here, we have we're gonna refresh, we're gonna put a first name, and that's gonna be there. And now we have a record, and we have if you look here, we're gonna refresh, we're gonna see our social web, and we're gonna see our users, and it's gonna be the number one is Yazdani, which is us. And that's what I was talking about. Now the created ad is it active because that's null. Is it active? Yes, it's active because that's our default. And here created ad, that's the time, and it's updated at that's the time too. And the next video we're gonna go and show you guys the GUI, how we're gonna create our say social web again, and how we're gonna create the tables. It's exactly the same procedure, but we are not gonna use these guys here. We are not gonna use any of these guys here. We are gonna use the MySQL, which is this guy here, create a new schema. So we're gonna use that one, and we're gonna put exactly the same information. And we're going to look at here, we're going to put a social web 2, we're going to put a 2, and then we're going to start creating our table, our database, and we're going to select our database, and we're going to start creating exactly the same information inside. And as you guys seen here, we can either you can put it through GUI or you can put it through the database, all this information. As you guys in here, we have successfully entered because this auto increment, and that's the first name is just done it, the second one is null, and the active is that's default. So if you have if you go in professional web making, when you create something, say query for the users, and when you guys going to put a select all this table, select column whatever, or everything from the table users where active is equal to 1, and whatever is you guys going to see all the active, you're going to see all the records of the active users going to come in and show you, not the users with say 0. If you put a 0, it means the user is not active. So that's a difference between active and not active, because we put a default 1, and because it's going to come as active because that's active users. All right, so that's it for this video, guys. In the next video we're gonna do exactly the same ones, but through our GUI. All right, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, Crywood. If you guys have any question or comment, leave in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.